Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs from 1992. So yes, the time has come, we are back once again, and yes, going through all of the Tarantino films in chronological order, and very, very pumped today, and cannot wait for this series once again, of course, starting with his debut feature film, Reservoir Dogs, and for me, one of the greatest debut feature films in cinema history, and yes, let's discuss this film, but first of all, of course, a spoiler warning, and that goes for all of the Tarantino reviews, discussions here. Going forward, spoiler warning for this film. If you haven't seen it, I simply recommend, checking it out and then come back to this discussion here. And I cannot recommend this film enough, though. Go and see it. That's what I'd say. And see what you think. And yes, with all that said, let's discuss this film. And go back to the beginning, of course. But seeing this again a few weeks ago now, it's been more than 10 times that I've seen this, in my entire lifetime. And first of all, it was when I was 12 years old, and I believe, I can't, remember precisely, but 99% I'm sure that I saw Pulp Fiction first, and then very, very soon after, it could have been a few days after, or a week after, I came in, from school, and watched this film as well. So yes, that was how I done it, I think, and Pulp Fiction, and then this film, but in very quick succession. That's what I remember at least, and that was when I was 12, so quite a few years ago now, and just it all blew up. I was kind of inspired so much, and a new kind of filmmaker that I'd never delved into before, but I'd heard his films before, Kill Bill as well. That was quite a bit until I actually got to that film from watching these ones. So we'll get to that, of course. But Reservoir Dogs, this was the one along with Pulp Fiction that I saw first, and I was absolutely blown away, and could not describe how much I loved these two films, and I was in awe of this. Yes, I'd heard many things about this before going in, and I was so pumped for this experience, and just as I say, having seen Pulp Fiction, and I saw I have access to this film as well by Tarantino, and I thought I'll just put it on, and can't wait for this. And I was waiting all day, of course, and then came in and just watched this film. A very kind of tight film, fairly short, and much more contained, and raw, and all this kind of stuff to Pulp Fiction, and much lower budget, of course, to this film. And it was just such a ride, though, and from the opening sequence, I was just reeled in, and the dialogue, the camera movements, the atmosphere, and the comedy. I love the comedy to this film. In fact, it's one of the funniest for me, Tarantino films, and just all the lines. This is kind of it's this raw film, very, very natural at times, and the characters talking about different things that you don't really see, in every film at least, and it's very unique and just natural, but it is very wacky, I think, and there is this kind of heightened sense of reality, and I think the violence also at times, it's jarring, it has that effect on you, and it takes you to this different place, in this film, and this slow motion scene, of course, as well. When we have the dream sequence, which we'll get to, all this kind of stuff, very dreamlike at times, but it is this kind of contained film, mostly in the warehouse that we have, and the characters recounting different things, and talking about things, and how this heist has gone wrong, but yes, as I say, I was blown away, and every time I've seen this since, I love it more and more, and it is one of my favourite films of all time, and just like, many of the Tarantino films, in fact, there's only a select few that not actually on my favourite films list. From what I've seen from him, and even then, it's just even my least favourite Tarantino. I really, really like. I think it's very underrated, and I think he done a really good job. And just he had fun with that one, and it shows. And I do like that film. But this film here, Reservoir Dogs, this is one of his greatest, I think, films in that sense of just, this is an absolute masterpiece, and one of the greatest films ever made, and, it all kind of starts with this scene, these 8 individuals, of course, the cast is massive, and, of course, Keitel, helped him produce in this film, and he kind of had this, kind of comeback, you could say, and, it's just very nice to see, him and Tarantino working on this, and then, of course, Pulp Fiction, and Keitel, he was in many, many films again around this time, and because I think he's one of the greatest actors, really, and I'd seen around this time as well, Mean Streets and Taxi Driver, and I've seen all these different films. And Keitel, became one of my kind of favorite actors, and it's just great to see him. Kind of, you could say, the main character if there is one, and of course we have Tim Roth as well. You could say the most pivotal character in the film, really, how you go, obviously being the undercover cop, and we'll get to that. But just seeing all these characters in this scene, what a cast. Michael Madsen, of course, as Mr. Blonde, and just this explosive character. It's a very sadistic character, of course. As we learn later on in the film, and we have Tim Roth, of course, as Mr. Orange, Mr. White. Yes, it's Harvey Keitel, and we have nice guy Eddie, and he's played by Chris Penn, of course. Lawrence Tierney, as Joe, who basically oversees this heist and different operations. We'll learn later on in the film that he was in charge of, and is in charge of a variety of different jobs, and it's just just great to know, to kind of learn more about the characters as we go through the film. Then we have Eddie Bunker, as of course Mr. Blue, and you could say a lesser character in terms of the presence of him. He isn't really in the film too much in that sense, but he does play an important part, and he is in this opening sequence, and has a few great lines as well. Then we have, of course, just Mr. Pink, who is one of the greatest characters in this film, and played by, of course, Steve Buscemi, and great actor as well. And we have all these different characters, all these different actors. Of course, we mustn't forget Quentin Tarantino himself as Mr. Brown, and a hilarious character, I think. And just before I forget, he starts off as this kind of this kind of character who is is really hilarious, and he's kind of being the main one, kind of talking at one point, and showing trying to appear as this kind of cool guy, and then of course he does have a kind of a pathetic way in which he goes out, and I just love that. I love how Tarantino himself is in this film, and just the actual way in which his character goes out, and it's just very compared to, for example, the other characters, and kind of character development we get, it's just it's really fascinating to see. I absolutely love seeing Tarantino in this, and Pulp Fiction as well. I think I would have loved to have seen him in more of a bigger role, for example, in some of his other films. But I'll take it. I'll take the other roles, and the cameos in that sense. But yes, Tarantino. This is his very first film, and starring in this, but writing and directing this. Like no other. And of course, it did take famously just a few weeks to actually write this script. Of course, this is you could say many years in the making, in the sense that really is inspired by all of his heroes, and different kind of individuals, filmmakers, actors, and just a few films as well. The Killing, Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece as well. The Killing, and this kind of heist film, and Tarantino's take on that kind of heist film, and as well the way in which this is a heist film where we don't actually see the heist, and that is just a genius way in which this film is kind of made, and I think it kind of allows for all the different kind of characters to be explored in a particular way, all the themes of this, and soon becoming clear. It's not really a heist film in that way. It's more about the characters, and I think human nature, and just any event really that kind of went wrong could have been used in this film to kind of expose what Tarantino is mainly saying, many different themes, but it's about this kind of nature of the truth, I feel, and loyalty, and deceit, and just characters playing off each other, and trying to be seen as telling the truth, and it all kind of going wrong, and hiccups, and all this kind of stuff, and just human nature, and blaming people, and all this kind of stuff, and that could have been any event, but of course we're glad it's a heist film because it's epic, of course. Seeing the aftermath of the heist, and for example, Mr. Pink kind of running down the street, and getting chased, but we never actually see in the bank, for example, and that is just a genius way to kind of do this, and it adds that mystery. This is a whodunit as well, and we don't get any actual shots of inside the bank, and kind of what was going on there, and what actually happened with Mr. Blonde, for example. We're just kind of left to decide for ourselves, and hear the characters recounting this from their own point of view, and just for example, the initial kind of build up of Mr. Blonde, and seeing Mr. Pink and Mr. White talking about him, and just saying he went crazy, and all this kind of stuff. It's so kind of scary, you could say. Seeing the film as well, knowing what Mr. Blonde does, really is just so much more affecting, and watching it again, for example, and but just the initial kind of experience of seeing this, and I saw, of course, Mr. Blonde in the opening sequence, but he didn't really say too much, and then of course we hear all this. He's going around shooting people. It really is this. It gets in your mind, and then of course it takes a while for him to actually come into the warehouse, and there is of course the feeling of terror, and all this kind of stuff, and then the dynamic changes there. These characters who kind of Mr. Pink and Mr. White had formed this you could say this dynamic, this friendship, this understanding, I guess. They're kind of at ease with each other, and I love that. I love the kind of gradual way which Tarantino introduces the characters into this actual warehouse, into the main kind of hub, you could say, of this film. It's just it really is perfect in the way the structure is to this film. We have, of course, the opening sequence, kind of gearing up for the heist, all jokey, all kind of in this pumped mood, just kind of talking about things. Subtext, of course, is the key word there, and then of course, because they're talking about pop culture, and tipping as well. The tipping kind of conversation there is just one of my favourites in cinema. Always just kind of gets me so invested, and just imagining different scenarios, comedically as well, in my mind, and just of the different characters, and Steve Buscemi, just so good in this film, and I think the character Mr. Pink, what he's saying and all this kind of stuff, and how the characters are kind of disagreeing with him there, but just how that kind of is just about tipping, and it leads to something different, and we learn all this kind of stuff. What they're talking about. It's not just everyday conversations. It has so much subtext, and there's more to that than the kind of surface, and I love this. I love as well how that kind of leads into the opening title sequence, which is one of my favourites. It's in my history, and seeing the characters walking down, in the suits, of course, Little Green Bag, George Baker playing, and of course the slow motion there. One of the best uses of slow motion, in cinema history, and seeing these characters walking down, hearing this music and the cutting there, it's epic. It is quite hilarious as well. Especially to see Tarantino, and cutting to his face, and just the kind of movements, but just to see these characters walking through to this epic music, it really is this wonderful way to introduce the characters. One of my favourite kind of, as I say, opening sequences, credits at least, titles to a film, and the text coming up, are Reservoir Dogs. What a perfect way, to kind of set up a film, and then to actually put the credits in. Essentially the pre-title sequence, is them sitting at a table, and from there we go into the credits, and then we hear this noise. Of course, Mr. Orange has been shot, and from there we have this mystery. We have straight away put into the kind of into the action, you could say, although the aftermath of the heist, and the characters kind of in this kind of situation, chaos everywhere, and we're kind of left with the characters dealing with the aftermath, and that is just a really great way to kind of develop the characters, put them in a situation. It's just, this is of course Tarantino, was that video archives, and it's just fascinating. And truly inspiring, to me. He was at this store, video store, and that was essentially his film school, and he was just consuming so much, and at this, and just having screenings, for his friends and stuff, and just really living film, and watching films, and soaking it all in from different filmmakers, genres, different styles, and he made different stuff in between that, and kind of Reservoir Dogs, and he was he's famously said if him kind of trying and failing, that's the great thing about Reservoir Dogs, and that came along, and it was all this a number of years of him essentially, really trying and not quite coming about for him. And then, though, Reservoir Dogs, he wrote this, and it made him, well-known director, and instantly like that. But there is that sense of it took a while for him to kind of get into the industry in that sense, and to really be known. And it's just great and inspiring, and really nice to know that he did not listen to, for example, anyone telling him what to do. This was his film school, just him watching films, him deciding what he wants to do, and making his own thing, while also tributing, those filmmakers, genres, actors that he truly loves. And that's what it's all about. This is just like all of his films, a celebration of cinema, and it's its own thing as well. It's this unique take on the genre, and just kind of it really is so inspiring. The writing to this and the structure, of course, to the actual narrative, it's genius. It really is. We have so many story beats, at times leading into the next, propelling the kind of narrative. The momentum here is just so strong, and the energy to this, the passion, it all shows. And also at the same time, there is this kind of patient and kind of gradual way in which the characters, as I say, kind of introduced, the exposition, kind of knowing different things about the characters. It all kind of falls into place at the right time, and for example, at one point we have that kind of moment, and Mr. Orange, it kind of emerges from where he was lying down, and he's kind of silent for a lot of the film until for a time, and then of course he shoots Mr. Blonde, and there he is. Then it kind of cuts straight away to the real backstory of Mr. Orange, and learning his undercover kind of training, you could say. And it's moments like this, and that kind of separate or lead into the next act, sequence, that's just it takes you along for the ride, and it has so much kind of energy and momentum, as I say, leading into this, into the different moments, of the film, and this entire narrative. It's non-linear, of course, but it does have, as I say, this momentum, and this kind of way in which we are, kind of led into the next scene, and we learn gradually more and more about the characters, about the actual heist, and the nature of truth, and how initially we have a very different kind of image, I guess, of how this is turning out. For example, as well, this is Mr. Blonde, how initially we kind of we learn all these characters are kind of saying that he's this madman, and they're constantly saying this, of course. Keitel especially, what was going on there. Mr. Pink as well, his him kind of saying about Mr. Blonde, but of course then we have Mr. Blonde coming in, and we think could this character be a bit for example, seeing it for the first time, maybe they were overreacting, and then of course we have this kind of cop being tortured by Mr. Blonde, and just this as soon as the other characters are gone, he is just on there, and kind of torturing this character, and he's this sadistic Mr. Blonde, of course, and I was kind of first time around I was saying, okay, maybe I was wrong about this, maybe he is this madman, and then of course learning, though, that actually what Mr. Pink is saying, is kind of that he's the one that's, kind of set us up, or this kind of stuff. Of course, that doesn't. Maybe the characters, when they actually meet him, they kind of they kind of agree. To an extent that maybe he wasn't the one that was setting them up. But nevertheless, that kind of way in which Mr. Pink later on, and stuff. They're kind of trying to persuade Nice Guy Eddie and Joe, of course, as well. That Mr. Blonde, was the one that was kind of, behind all this. How it all went wrong, and of course, we learn though at some point in the film, the kind of extent of how far Mr. Blonde has gone. In terms of loyalty for Eddie and Joe, doing the time, and that is key, to this. That is the kind of thing that blows it, for. Eddie to actually at all believe anything Mr. Pink and Mr. White are saying, and then he is kind of on the offensive, because he does not at all buy that Mr. Blonde would do this straight after kind of doing time for them, and that is the case. That's what's happened. Several years, of course, and he is. Whatever the case, he is actually loyal to Eddie and Joe, and that is key in kind of how this whole final act plays out. All these different themes, kind of interconnected, I guess, and they're kind of masterfully constructed, I feel, within the script, because of course that then leads to regret, I feel, at least on a few of the characters, faces, you can kind of tell, you can see, you can piece this story together and see how this is very much, this Greek tragedy in that sense as well, and how the characters, for example, Nice Guy Eddie and Joe, have this regret of putting this heist together, for example, as well, not being 100% sure on Mr. Orange or Freddy, as he reveals his name to be, but yes, just that whole kind of way in which this has all gone wrong, and they kind of realised there and then that he was the one who was the undercover cop, and straight away after that, though, after the actual shootout and all the characters are mostly dead, of course we have Larry, because these two characters reveal their names, and it's this really warm, kind of relationship they have, but yet bittersweet, because as we know, in the end, he does reveal, Freddy reveals to Larry, that he was actually an undercover cop, and what, I guess, Mr. White, or Larry, of course, had been doing for the whole film was defending Mr. Orange, or Freddy, and then, of course, he was in the wrong, and it got him shot, it got all the people killed, and then, in the end, potentially captured. But, of course, we do have, him actually being shot in the end, and that is just so tragic, but we have the regret, just before he's killed, I guess, on Larry's face, and, that is just, it's so, this is so complex, this film, so kind of tragic in that sense, but, right before he's shot, right before the final credits, and Coconut plays, of course, just this comedic way it's used, just before that, he realises, different characters realising things throughout the film, and the whole kind of way in which loyalty plays into it, of different characters, but now we have, of course, how loyalty, kind of, what's the, the cause of Larry to be, defeated in the end, and, just, it's very much very complex, and fascinating to see how far people will go, not really knowing too much concrete about, different characters, but, the element of trust comes into it, of course, and just identity, all this, how, Mr. Orange is, playing these characters, and he's played Larry, to the end, and then, of course, he reveals it, and I guess because, he feels like he has to, and, he's been shot and all this kind of stuff, and maybe he's not thinking straight, but then, of course, Mr. Orange is then killed, and, if he had not revealed, potentially to Larry at the end, that he had been the one all along, then he could have been still alive, but, there he is, pretty much all the characters die, and we hear Mr. Pink outside saying, don't shoot, he's the one that makes it off with the briefcase, and again, kind of deceiving us, kind of surprising us. First time round, I didn't think Mr. Pink would run off with the briefcase. Of course, at that point, he's got nothing left to lose, and all the other characters are dead, as he thinks, and there is no way to kind of help the characters anyway. But nevertheless, he runs off, and then he is caught, and we hear shots fired, and we assume that he is also dead, and so in that sense, none of the characters at the table there, the 8 characters, made it out, and there is this kind of legendary way in which that happens, and just seeing the kind of initial jolly conversations at that table, and then contrasting to the way in which it ends, it's just what a ride it is. There is this tragedy though, of course, and I love how the characters are kind of trying to see what has happened, trust, loyalty, deceit, of course, all of this playing out, against all this, characters have been shot, they've been, they're startled, so they're kind of not thinking straight, and they have this psycho in the midst of all this, and him being defended, just in a way by Nice Guy Eddie and Joe, but nevertheless, he was this this psychotic character, and even though he wasn't going to betray these characters, I guess, of Eddie and Joe, he was, this madman, and I just love how different characters are defending each other, and it's all kind of, none of the characters though in this team of of this heist are fully working in harmony, and that's what in the end is, of course, their downfall, and all of them dying, of course, even Joe, who wasn't actually and nice lady who were just organising this this heist. They're also in the end dead. So it's this really unforgettable film, and first time I saw this, I was just blown away. And every time since seeing this, I've just learned more and more about this. Picked up different moments, and as well, this is in this and Pulp Fiction. In the famous a couple of the famous sequences. We have, for example, a scene being played again from a different kind of perspective, almost. But it's ever so slightly different in the actual dialogue even, and that is not a mistake. That is intentional to actually just to kind of disorientate, but just to see how a different viewpoint. It's kind of how characters are not potentially seeing it all in the same way, and actually for it to alter the actual dialogue that we're hearing, really is something else, and just different viewpoints. That's what this film is, and we have different ways of telling the story. It's like Rashomon, films like this, where it's the nature of truth, and telling different stories in one from different characters' viewpoints, and really is genius. It's also this pop culture reference, for film, and just The Thing as well. I love that moment where Mr. White, Mr. Orange, and etc. They're kind of talking, and then of course we have as well, that moment when Mr. Orange, is kind of saying that Joe looks like the Thing, and all this kind of references, throughout the film. We've got, as we know there, Marvel, and we have Pam Grier as well, being mentioned in the film, which is great because she is in Jackie Brown, and that is just great. The little thing there, the hint, I didn't pick up on that first time round. It's great to kind of know different things, kind of are there, and they're kind of hidden, or they're hidden in plain sight, I guess. All these references, and it really is so kind of rich, this film, in all these things, the script, the narrative, the characters, the themes, the emotions, but also just the visuals. And you could say this, the way this is shot, it's very minimalist, some would say. I would kind of say, compared to his other films, it could be seen as that. But, this is stunning cinematography. We have a very interesting kind of color tone. The palette to this, it's not this, very bright color palette, I guess you could say. But when the blood, for example, appears, then it really is shocking. It adds to that element of jarringness, and just as well. We have many different static shots, just different characters. For example, early on we have Mr. White and Mr. Orange talking, and we have this really far back the camera, this long shot, and it's staying in this position for the most part, and minutes go by where there isn't too much camera movement, and then of course we have this at times these tracking shots, but very, very smooth, and then we have handheld camera movements that are very much really intense and gritty, and just I guess really down and dirty to this, and it's this combination once again that really is key, and I think he is telling the story in the way he wants to, and all the different camera angles, the movements, they're all perfectly done, and the trunk shots as well, and all of this stuff, the trademarks, of course, the violence, the kind of the dialogue being just Tarantino dialogue. It's never, has it ever really got to a point where any of his films aren't Tarantino dialogue. This is no exception. This is not just a film that you cannot link to the others as his first film. The dialogue, that's the one thing. Maybe not the visuals. They are very, very different as we go through the different phases, which we'll get to. But the dialogue, the bare bones dialogue in this film, it's Tarantino dialogue, and it's in all of his films, and we love and know it, and just different songs being played in key scenes, and just slow-mo as well, you could say, being a trademark, but also just the violence itself, and the way in which Tarantino is kind of committing to this. But in this film, you could say it's very different to his later ones. It's much more suggestive violence. It's not really, there are very, very little moments of actual blood in the film, and I was kind of, before seeing this, I was kind of told that this was, one of the most violent films, and, in a sense it is, in its suggested nature of the violence, but not actually in terms of, for example, blood and all this kind of stuff appearing on screen, and that's down to Tarantino, the way he implies violence, suggests it, and we see straight after, for example, the kind of cop there. There's kind of his ear has been cut off, all this stuff. We see afterwards, his ear, the remains of it, and we don't actually see the actual cutting of this, and just you would maybe suggest you would expect that, but Tarantino has kind of cut away there, and he doesn't show it, and that is of course very different to for example films like Kill Bill and Django. It's very fascinating to see how violence is used in his films. It's always masterful though. That's the thing. Different ways of kind of showing violence or not showing violence through his career, but always the way he does this is stylized, but it's just so gut wrenching as well. It really has an effect on the viewer, and at least did with me. And whatever the case, he is doing his thing, and this is just what a film this is. The narrative, all these different themes, the way it's shot, the editing is key. How to put all this together. This different story beats, and how this this non-linear film, but just always with momentum and the energy that's never lost, despite kind of leaping back and forth in between the timeline, and then going off and surprising us. The editing is always perfect in this film, and just you can feel the passion. You can feel that Tarantino knows his script. He knows his actors. He's casting. He essentially casting for actors he wants to kind of see again. For example, as well, Harvey Keitel. He was a big admirer of him, and just to kind of give him this part, and just once again that launched Keitel back again, for example, and he knows what he wants to do. The tone always consistent. We have these wacky moments at times that I love, and I quote, and just all these different moments of comedy. Moments in the office, of course, as well, of Joe, Eddie, and Mr. Blonde as well, or Vic Vega, of course. But yes, we'll get to that in Pulp Fiction. But yes, these moments as well, the comedy there. It's just bizarre moments at times. But really, I love how we have so much comedy, and it doesn't kind of break the tone of this really kind of harsh, brutal story of these individuals, all going wrong for them. And I love, as I say, the way the film is shot, 2:3:5, 1 aspect ratio, of course. This is allowing Tarantino to kind of really go to town on these wide shots, and really have at times as well this kind of distorted look the film has, and this you feel all the movements within the warehouse, and that is just, it's so wonderful to see this. Great use of location, one of the best use of location in cinema history, and we have different moments where they're suggested, for example, what is going on in that room, what's in there, and sometimes we don't see all these different rooms in the warehouse, but it's all this masterful way in which this world is created, and space is used, the blocking in this, and just a camera movement though, then a static shot where the blocking and the way the film has been arranged in that frame, in that scene, it's perfect. And the transition, that's sometimes very, very hard. It really is, in terms of lighting as well, going outside, and then the exposure and all of this going on. At times never actually, really breaking this, and just a movement from a static shot to another static shot, more or less, and it's so perfectly planned in that sense. It really is. We have all of the frame perfectly aligned. All of those in the frame being where they need to be, and it's to a degree though that it's just so admirable, and so it really is a perfect film for me. And props, outfits, all this stuff, it's just genius. The suits being so iconic, of course, and just really sticking in your mind, unforgettable, throughout his entire career. This is no exception, of course. Reservoir Dogs, the outfits to this, and just the atmosphere, and you can feel this love of pop culture, and fashion and style. It's all here. Just such a cool film, this. And Tim Roth, I love, especially a real stylistic moment. It's just him, kind of going. He's in his apartment, of course. He's getting the different props out as well that he's going to be using to once again go into this character, disguise himself, and really commit to this character, and yeah, just what he's wearing there, and all the characters what they're wearing in those scenes, and just compared that to contrast to when they were wearing the suits. It's just such a kind of rich film. This and everything's been thought out. The wardrobe to this, the outfits, just key, and how characters are kind of their mannerisms as well, the body language, and how we have all these different characters, kind of their kind of body language to one another, and Mr. Blonde, the way he gets on top of that, the piano there, and sitting up there, and in that scene of just drinking the milkshake. These moments are key for character development, tension as well, and how other characters are reacting, and how it kind of disrupts the dynamics of their group, and just I love, as I say, to sum that up, how at first everyone's together, and then of course very few people together in the warehouse, coming and going, gradually more and more people are kind of joining in this this group, and of course we learn some characters never made it to the warehouse, of course Mr. Brown and Mr. Blue being those characters, but then of course all of the characters in the end being there, and it's just in a sense how we have this gradual patient building of dynamics. We have just a few characters at first, their relationships, their dynamic being established after this heist, and how they are reacting to one another, and then of course characters coming gradually, and of course upsetting that dynamic that's been created, and then again for example then we have a new dynamic, and it's disrupted, and then perhaps at a point, kind of once again there is comfort, there is that ease, and they're okay, I guess, together, and then of course once again things happen, and it just constantly, this chain of events that is just going down, going through the narrative as we progress, for drama, for tension, and irony, and I guess just all these different characters cannot work together, as I say, and that is the downfall of the entire operation, and then of course in the end, as I say, no one makes it out, and what a film this is. Very short film, it's much shorter than most of his other films, of course, and just this real contained thriller, whodunit, mystery film, of course, this crime film, a very unique one, this at the same time pop culture film, referencing and celebrating pop culture, cinema itself, comic books, just style, fashion, music as well. Just the way in which the characters, throughout his films, are kind of commenting on music, and it really is. It's something else, and I love, especially Little Green Bag. Some tracks that I love, especially the use of them, Stuck in the Middle of You. That is just such a genius moment as well. How that's used, one of the most unforgettable sequences in cinema history. And whenever I hear of that, I think of Michael Madsen doing that act there, and dancing around, twirling there. It's insane. It really is. But it sticks in the mind, and this is now part of cinema itself, and it's just wow. What a film this is, and I love as well. When I was younger, I was kind of doing kind of tributes, of course, with family and stuff, and to this film, to Tarantino films, and using different pieces of music, just of course unofficial shorts when I was younger, and just home videos, I guess, and just tributing, for example, this film, and that song, for example, being used, and it was because I was watching these films, loving these films, and it became part of my life. These Tarantino films, and I cannot praise this film enough. It really is such an inspiring film. How to to write a film, direct a film, to star in it as well, but to make a film that's unique, while also playing on different genres, styles, and filmmakers, films, of course, and really paying homage, but making your own thing, and all these different ingredients, styles, elements, of course. But it's kind of it's certainly a Tarantino film. That's what I'm saying, and it really is so inspiring. His first film, not his first work, but things that, as he said, to him did not go according to plan, and they didn't work out. But when he really did kind of make a film like this. He made it, and from there, we know Quentin Tarantino today as one of the best, one of the most at least famous directors out there, and he will go down in history. And it all began with this film, and just started with essentially someone loving cinema, and being obsessed with cinema, and just writing putting pen to paper, and from there it kind of exploding, and different people backing him, and certainly a bigger budget than he originally imagined of $30,000. It was a lot more than that, but still low budget, and despite that he made a film that for me is truly one of the best, and he made use of the budget. He really the locations and all this kind of stuff. He really knew how to kind of make the most of this, and then some. An absolute masterpiece, and really is one of the best films ever made, and certainly among my favorite, kind of 200 favorite films in cinema history. So as you can tell, I truly love this film. I cannot praise it enough. As I say, and there's just so much going on. To recap, the themes that are explored in this, loyalty, of course, playing a big part in this film. Between a variety of different characters, of course, and seeking the truth. After this one event, of course, that is masterfully portrayed without actually showing the event itself. The heist being in this film, and of course betrayal, deceit, morality playing a big part in this. Especially with Mr. Orange. He knows, Larry is kind of this. I guess this deep down there is something good in him, and it's you can feel his pain, and I guess for deceiving him. Of course, Mr. White, Larry has Freddy's back throughout the film, or Mr. Orange, of course, and just how we have the whole kind of way in which he feels bad in the end. Mr. Orange, the whole morality of this, him deceiving him for the whole film, of course, and him saying that he's who he isn't, kind of thing, and just that whole way in which perhaps that is the reason he just cannot take it. In the end, he has to reveal to Mr. White that he was the one who was undercover, and who has played them all in that sense, and that's how it's gone wrong, and it really is such a kind of deep film, this, and all these different themes, though, paranoia as well, playing into this, and this whole kind of that's how the characters and what they're feeling, what they're saying, is slightly off at times, because they're all paranoid, they're not thinking straight, making accusations left, right, and centre, and just so much going on here, and of course, just Mr. Blonde, is in this, and he's this psychotic, explosive character, in the middle of all this. Paranoia, this chaos, he is there, and he is torturing this cop. It's just what a film, in the sense of so much going on here, and wow, so much to take in, and the visuals, of course, to this film, just stunning. The editing is perfect. I think this film is one of the best edited films, in cinema history, and just how we go through the narrative, we learn more about the characters. The exposition is perfect to this, and by the end of this, we know as an audience really, who is who, and what they actually, their intentions, I guess, and it's just I care so much about the characters by this point, all of them, and have enjoyed every single one of the characters so much, and then the explosive, kind of showdown, I guess, and everyone. By the end of the film, everyone really has been killed, and of this heist, these 8 members that were around that table, those organising the heist, and them actually taking part in this, they're all dead, and none of them have the money. So there we have it. That's the heist gone wrong, and you don't even see the heist. So there we have it. A genius film, wonderfully shot. The music in this film, the pop culture references, that it's just. We never really saw this, in other Tarantino films like this, but we did, because he always kind of does this in a way. There is something going on he's referencing, but these early free films, you could say, this Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, they're very much it's kind of this phase, I guess, phase 1, and then phase 2 would be Kill Bill, through Django, and then The Hateful Eight. Hollywood. You know, that's kind of a bit of a different thing as well, a more epilogue-y feeling, and you could say. But phase 2 is ultra stylized, and this is kind of more pop culture. You could say this first phase is more you know, kind of pop culture references. You know, all this kind of stuff. The dialogue is slightly different as well. You know, and they're very similar in a way. These first 3 films, but Reservoir Dogs, it has that very raw, intense feeling that is not quite in his other films in this way, I guess. Not that it's better, you know, or less intense the other films than this. Just you know, it's a very unique type of raw feeling, and of course, yes, it's Reservoir Dogs. It's one of my favourites, and you know, certainly on my favourite films list. Always has been. Very special film to me. You know, I think this is a masterpiece. I think it's one of Tarantino's, you know, one of the best films that he's made in that sense. And you just, yeah, just one of my favourite films, as I say. So yes, my final rating for this film is extremely, extremely high, and yes, 100% plus. Tier 2, yes, cannot praise this film enough. You know, it's a very solid tier 2 as well, so you know, well into my you know, top 200, you know, really high in that, you know, I guess, and you know, it really is one of my most loved films, and there are Tarantino films that I actually prefer to this, and yeah, just a case of, you know, this is you know, such a great film, and you know, it has been topped, but you know, it does not discount this stunning masterwork for me. You know, it's inspiring, you know, in terms of how it was made, in terms of the actual story and how to tell a story. All these characters are telling stories, but you know, Tarantino is the mastermind through you know, his script. His direction, and just the way in which he doesn't reveal everything, you know, in this film to us, but he reveals enough at the essential moments, you know, just really genius in the way he's kind of leading different points to the next, and you know, these story beats, this narrative momentum, it's all there. It's you know, it's geniusly constructed, and at the same time, he loves you know, film, and he's loved making this. You can see, and you know, just interacting with these actors as well. You know, it all shows in the work, the passion, the creativity, and you know, the patience. This is a very you know, this is the first film from Tarantino. It's a first outing, but it's very wise. I guess, you know, patient, and you know, restrained when it needs to be, when it absolutely needs to be, and you know, at the same time, he is breaking the rules. He's not doing you know, kind of a traditional film. It's a non-linear film, and you know, in that sense, you know, it's very much unique. It's his vision, while also being something that he's paying homage to films, to filmmakers, and just to, you know, referencing pop culture itself and cinema itself. So yes, we have so much in this, and just to sum up, you know, I love the raw intensity. I love the dreamlike moments. That kind of moment when Tim Roth is telling that kind of, you know, that kind of made-up story, you know, to the characters there. You know, that is just genius stuff in the bathroom, and you know, just drying the hands, and the slow-mo there. You know, those looking on, the dog barking. That is just one of the best scenes in cinema history, and there are quite a few in this film that are, you know, on that level, and you know, especially, and but you know, that scene sticks out as just this genius way of writing, and you know, something going on within you know, a scene that is, you know, just, it really you know, it gets under your skin, and you know, it's just him describing this. We're seeing this. It's this bizarre, you know, kind of dreamlike sequence in the middle of this very unique film, you know, this crime film, and it's just, it always gets me, that scene, and you know, just wow, you know, there's so much going on here. The characters, you know, I love the characters, the comedy, the banter between them, and the music, the style, of course, and just how overall epic this film is, and you know, it's gone before you know it. You know, it's a very short film. I wanted more, but you know, it's perfect, perfect filmmaking here, and yeah, truly epic, inspiring film. And this is the very first Tarantino film, and let's continue. Next up is Pulp Fiction, and yes, Pulp Fiction, yes indeed. You know, everyone has heard of that film, and you know, many people love that film, and of course, so do I. It's one of my favourite films, you know, in cinema history. It's way better than this film, and you know, that's saying something. You know, I've praised this film for, you know, I don't know how long I've been talking, but a long time, relatively. And next up, you know, we have a film that I much prefer to this. You know, it really is. it goes above and beyond this film here, and we cannot wait to talk about that film. And I have already rewatched that very recently, so I'm still pumped after seeing that, and I cannot wait to share my opinion on that film with you viewers. That was my first Tarantino film, I believe. So yes, very special, and it really is. It's one of the greatest films ever made. So yes, if you want a review for that, positive review, check that out. That'll come over the next couple of weeks, I guess. And just can't wait for this, and this whole series, of course. And what do you think of this film? What do you think of all of these films as we go through them? It'd be great to hear your thoughts in the comments if you want, of course. So feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments, and we can have conversations, respectful conversations, about these films and Tarantino, and just cinema as always. And just can't wait to hear your thoughts on this film. I guess it's a film that most people love, but it's going to be great to hear specific thoughts for you, your experiences as well. Great to know how you first watched this film, and your memories of this, and just cannot wait to talk about this film, and keep going through his filmography, and celebrating, and just tributing Tarantino, his work, how it's inspired me, how much I love these films, and that's what we're here for. Just to share the passion, and just cannot wait to continue. So yes, as always, take care, and thanks for watching.